All right, since getting our intermodal cars from Ian and Cam of Lehigh, we have decided that we want to put in a little makeshift intermodal yard right in this area. So with a crane, the crane was kind of the fun part, and a crane that you could actually use. Let me show you what we did. So we knew for sure we were going to use these two tracks for the intermodal industry here. So we wanted to make a deck basically, and you know, much like concrete or something. So we had some styrene plastic around, so we decided to use this. If you haven't used styrene before, it's really fun actually, and you can get pretty creative and do all kinds of cool buildings and building in general. It takes some practice, that's for sure, to get good stuff. But so this is the centerpiece, or the center deck we'll call it, and we made it to fit just perfectly in here at just about the level of the track right there. So we got this center deck, and then we had to get this outside deck, because even though we planned on these two tracks, we're for sure using this front track for loading and unloading, and just in case we do waterfront right here, that would be on this side someday. But for now we have the center deck, and then we made this outside piece. We got some more styrene and cut it up and got the right height and everything ready for, we'll call it the seaside deck maybe, or something like that. This is gonna go on this side. Cool, so we started with that, and then we got to thinking about the actual crane, and we knew that we wanted to span more than just one track, so we needed to make another platform over here, we'll call it, for the other side of the crane. And that section was pretty straightforward. And once we're happy and satisfied, we got to do some testing for a long time. You know, we'll tack that down, get some paint on there, make it gray like concrete most likely. And we'll talk more about that in a second. Let's get to the crane part. That was fun. So with the crane, we definitely started with the base and pretty much made it up as we went. And then, you know, we made sure we had the right heights with a couple of containers. And so we took some, you know, simple measurements like this. We kind of worked with 4 containers technically, but 3 containers, and then thinking about the actual crane contraption at the top to get a height of about 4 of these guys. We know that on our decks in the yard over there, we're gonna definitely want at least stacks of 3 that are on the ground. And then, of course, as you know, on the trains, you know, it'll be 2 boxes tops. So we just did some tinkering around with that, getting a pretty good height for the actual frame, and then just got to work. Sorry, we don't have much video of that because we were literally making it up as we went. So no plans, no nothing. Apologies for that if you're looking for the exact measurements. Not much we can do there. So with the crane structure, the base of it, you might say, we had this end hanging out a little bit. We were gonna plan for some intermodal at sea, so we get some ships off, like I mentioned right here, you imagine some water. But we cut it back in just for balancing reasons, and then we'll actually do some sort of cranes that lower up and down if we ever do that. But step one was getting this thing to slide and sit on this deck. So what we did is, if you look really closely at this deck, it kind of has a place for this to slide and stay straight. You can see the tiny little ledges there. It works out really well. So this guy slides left and right. It's gonna be manually done by hand while we save up for some fancy motorized intermodal crane. But for now, this will just be a little bit of pushing it back and forth by hand. And with that, you know, we'll have to tack all of this down. So that was the next step, getting this guy in place, and of course, getting the measurements so it slides and glides on this guy over here. And we have plenty of room for the trains to get by. Next step after that, we needed the sliding structure up here, the actual crane contraption. We came up with this over time. It's stepped because we noticed we would need some more height if we were gonna get the rest of the crane in there and get some clearance on the boxes. So this easily goes right in here, and then that will also slide fairly easily just by hand. It's not perfect, but it works pretty good. And then the actual crane that grabs onto the boxes, and we did everything with magnets because a lot of these boxes come with magnets on the top and bottom. So what we did is we were at Menards and we happened to come across some little circle magnets like that. We have a solid bottom, and then we have this all measured out to go around the boxes, so when it comes down, whoop, kind of kicked it sideways. But when it comes down, it magnetizes, and then we can lift. And then the cool part is we put those magnets on an extra little tab right there that you can lift up. And as you lift it up, it pulls the magnets up and then will release after a little bit. So then when you want to release it, pull up and there's some separation, it lets go. And then after getting this bottom part, this bottom contraption all together, you'll see in a moment that I'll put it in the actual crane, and you'll see what else we did. So here's the final product, although we'll end up probably clipping off a couple of edges, but you don't want to cut too soon. We want to make sure everything's okay and ready to go. But with this top piece, we essentially made it so we can get this in here like this, and then that's the top crane piece going back and forth. We put these little spacers in here, so this technically wouldn't go that direction. So this is pretty stationary. You can lift it up and down like that. And then of course, in the actual crane, already set to go, and we can get to work. So let's show you all of this on the layout. Couple of more details while we have you. It's going to be kind of a one-way yard. Don't know if they exist, but they might. Trucks are going to come in from this side somehow or another. They're going to jump in here. It's going to be one lane, so we're gonna have an x-ray shed, you might say, x-ray structure right here, and then the trucks will come in here just one way. We have this Coca-Cola truck representing the one lane, and that'll follow through all the way over there, and this will come over the tracks and come into an area over here where we'll have some more space for trailers and structures, etc. But sorry to our trucker friends. Somehow you got to cross the tracks here, do your business, and then cross the tracks again. Not very ideal overall, but it is what it is, and it's super fun. So along with that one lane with the trucks, there's going to be basically a lane for containers along that side right there. And then, like we mentioned, maybe a seaboard on this end, but that's way down the road. If you're just getting into styrene, our must-haves, it's really nice to have 4 of these 1, 2, 3 blocks. You're gonna need the cement of some sort along with the plastic styrene. There's a million types. a little bit spendy in the beginning, but whatever, it's fun. Good old straight edge X-Acto knives. And then if you get into like this project, we got into some pretty thick plastic. Normally you can just cut really easily, you know, small stuff with an X-Acto knife, but we also have a little saw like this guy. And then we set up our 2-foot level as a straight edge lined up with our board so we could use the lines to help us measure and make things as easy as possible. Yeah, that's about it for us working with the plastic styrene. Look it up though, it's fun. All right, that's it for this video. Thanks everybody. Elin decided to play trucks while I was doing all the work.